It's our top focus. In an alleged case of discrimination, a differently abled passenger was denied a ride by Uber drivers in Chennai. Now, the disability rights activist Arman Ali claims that the assigned driver refused to put his wheelchair in the back seat, pushed him out of the car and cancelled the trip. Now, another driver, also allegedly from Uber, refused his fare after he requested his wheelchair be loaded in the car. Ali alleges this caused him to miss his flight and spend an extra 14,000 rupees for the next one. Now, Ali took to social media to narrate his ordeal, and Uber India has apologized but offered a refund of 45 rupees for the cab cancellation.
The first Uber cab which I booked, after going around, he cancelled the trip and he was refusing to come to pick me up, and eventually I cancelled it and he was not taking calls. The second cab which I booked, he came over. And I got into the cab, I put my luggage inside, and when it was time to put my wheelchair into the cab, he refused to do that, and he said, I cannot put the wheelchair, it will damage my vehicle, and my seat will be torn and so on. So he cancelled the trip, and he came. It took a little while for him to come. I pleaded to him that I only missed my flight, I'm getting late for the airport. If there's a premium charge, I will pay that charge as well. But he cancelled it, and he told me to get off his cab. And then
This was after you boarded the cab?
Yes, after I boarded the cab, it's difficult for you to transfer from the wheelchair to the cab and back. It takes a little effort. And then for me to find another cab, by the time I reached the airport, the counters were closed. I missed my flight. I booked myself on another flight by paying another 14,000 rupees extra.
From all of this again from your pocket over and above?
Yes, over and above what was already paid. And not to talk about the trauma that I've gone through. I mean, the mental and physical trauma. As a person with disability, I thought that I was very independent and move around and, use services which is for everyone.
Naturally,
but what comes out is that all these private sector companies, I don't think they plan for disabled people. They don't see disabled people as one of their consumer of products or services. And there's a huge gap, and I think...
And it's most unfortunate in a country like India, where we call ourselves one of the fastest growing economies, where we call ourselves, a modern country, where we're expected to be at par with a lot of other countries. So instances like these, of course, somewhere, does make us feel like we're still lacking.
What the irony is, this happens all the time. It happens all the time. It is not about the wheelchair. I know of my colleagues who have now told me that people who are blind, people who have other disability, people who have deaf, have been denied this right or have been humiliated or discriminated at various points. But they don't speak out. Most of them think, it will become an issue, then their families will not let them go out of the house and so on, that, when you go out, there are problems. So it completely compromises the independence of a person with disability.
Absolutely.
And anyway, it is hostile. India is an extremely not disabled-friendly country in terms of accessibility. And when you have these services to make life easier for other citizens, but disabled people continue to be treated as somebody who's a second-class citizen, you are not in the scheme of things. The only look at disabled people as an object of pity and a welfare is the approach, and I think we have a long way to go. A country, how they treat their poorest of the poor and the most disadvantaged proves where they stand.
Naturally.
So I think the new law, the Rights of Persons with Disability Act, is very clear on it, that all private parties must make their services disabled friendly, and any public humiliation of people with disability is a punishable offence.
It is. Most definitely it is. Now, also coming back to what really went wrong with you, did you try reaching out to them? Was there any sort of respite from of course, from Uber at all? Was anything conveyed to you? Did they at least so much so as send you an apology, at least, if nothing else?
I've got 2 calls so far from Uber, and they've responded to my tweet saying that please do DM and not make it public. Yesterday I got a call, somebody called and said that we will look into the matter, and this is the responsibility of the driver partner is the term they use, and we will look into it. And they said we will refund you your cancellation charges, the 45 rupees or something like that.
Oh my God.
So that's how low they can stoop. And I said, nothing doing. You have to compensate for the kind of trauma and the loss of money and time I've gone through. They say they don't have a policy. Then again today I got another call from Uber. They said we're looking into it, and sorry, but I think they should put something in black and white. What is the policy for disabled people and so on, and they must look at compensating for the trouble they have caused me.